All right, welcome everybody. I'm Lucian Fogoros, and today we're talking about industrial DataOps for manufacturing. And our guest is Mr. Slimane Allab, the Senior Vice President of Manufacturing at Cognite. Welcome, Slimane. Maybe just a way of introduction to our company. Can you talk about, define what exactly is industrial DataOps and what should the manufacturer expect out of them?
Okay. Thanks, Lucian, for having me today. So, I think before talking about industrial DataOps, I think it's a mean to an end, and end is all about decisioning, right? And I'll be honest with you, for many industrial organizations, as many different consulting, companies call them the McKinseys, Accentures, etc. of the world. Any company that wants to be successful in the future to improve their efficiency of their operations and broad value chain would need to leverage artificial intelligence, right? And, companies who are traditionally our customers are really successfully leveraging AI in order to meet Industry 4.0 principles, and this to faster achieve changes in sustainability, changes in terms of productivity, in agility, resilience, right? Or even speed to market for their new products. So really, industrial DataOps will drive or will support such kind of changes. One of the key principles of these changes is obviously that these changes are not across one function. They become cross-functional. They really span from product to process, engineering. So what you mean by engineering, operations, but as well as I mentioned, value chain. So it's really providing that single view of the end-to-end operations in order to support decisioning.
Got it. And so you talked a little bit about AI, you talked about the industrial data. How big of a role do you think AI will play in the industrial organizations? And perhaps just expand a little bit, how does the industrial DataOps help with that?
I'll come with the fundamental, a basic principle, right, in the past of what we call insights and analytics. In the past, it was a lot about visibility, right? Once you have visibility of things, you understand the problems you face and you start to act accordingly. That's really more the descriptive one. But then it have morphed into a lot of predictive. And I think the last 2 decades was a lot about putting prediction into the way, operations will be managed. And then, we all think now of machine learning, we all think now of robotics, so it becomes more and more prescriptive. Right. So, and there is that journey that most of the organizations are embarking on to basically, adopt descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. Now, all of them, all of our customers have already embarked onto this. And I have to say, and I think you can refer to quite a few articles that are published by the consulting organizations. 80% of the organizations that are really willing to basically go across, the issues that are facing today, have to really invest into artificial intelligence. Now, that's on the artificial intelligence side. Now, on the DataOps side, right, I do believe that artificial intelligence can be effective only if you can consolidate all the data you have, especially when it comes to operations, etc. Because for now, that data is still sitting into silos, and it's there where industrial DataOps, comes into play. It's all about, getting the data out of the silos, putting the data and consolidating the data in the sense where people can make sense out of it and trust the data so that then it can support decisioning for operations.
Got it. Thank you. If I were to paraphrase Peter Diamandis, he would say, hey, by 2030, there will be 2 types of companies. There are companies that leverage AI, the companies that are bankrupt. So definitely it seems like every piece of organization, every organization is using, whether they acknowledge it or not at some point. Can you talk about some of the challenges in organizational challenges in industrial data management that you've seen and how they overcome those?
Okay, so you see, Lucian, the key point that they face, right? It's not about getting data out of the silos. It becomes an integration problem, right? But I think the key issue that these organizations face is around the trust their users can have in data, whether these are subject matter experts, whether they are shop floor users, whether these are managers, leaders across functional, multiple functions, whether they trust that data in order to get the right value out of that data. So I'll be honest with you, the key challenge that I see our customers and unfortunately most of the companies face is more about, spending 75% trying to do integration work, pulling data out of systems, consolidating the data. And I think just 25% at best is on understanding the data, trusting the data in order to get value out of it. And that's where, industrial DataOps, comes into play again. It's all about, the extraction side, absolutely. Yeah. So build robust data pipelines, right, in order to keep that data up to date. But then it's about, starting to map the data so that data makes sense. So mapping a data to within the data source into your decision process and make this a robust approach, right? And I'll be honest with you that data mapping usually is done manually. And as a result is prone to, unfortunately, not error, how can I say, can be leading to a lot of errors, absolutely. So right now I see a lot of AI being adopted, right, in order to basically, manage that data, that underlying data itself, and manage automatically the data mapping so that, users can spend more time in understanding the data, trusting the data so that they can ultimately get value out of that data. So yeah, that's really
great insights, because I was just going to ask you about a 75% the integration and then 25% data management, and where should those be? That's how it is today, but where should they be spending more time in?
Oh, I'll be honest with you, the reality is now with such kind of technology like Cognite, most of the time will be on data management. So understanding the data, trusting the data, building value out of the data, right? So around artificial intelligence. And it should be, could it be 25/75? Absolutely. Could it be even lower than that? Yes, when the templates are put in place. Rollouts can be done now in days, at best weeks, but for sure not months, right? When we talk about rollout of use cases across sites and across an enterprise.
Got it. Now I've spent a couple of decades in automating plants, and we've been collecting data for several decades, right? So can you talk about some of the benefits of unifying data for heavy industry, for machineries and stuff?
You see, it's there where the word unifying is, how can I say, can be misleading, right? Because you would think that data lake is a way to unify the data. And I'll be honest with you, data lake is just one way, right? But is that way the right way for users to understand what is the context of that data, to trust that data, to do the right decisioning out of that data, right? So I see here a lot of confusion in the word unifying. Absolutely, it's about unifying, but what about, unifying the data like at the scale of an enterprise, like a data lake is? And why not with the specificity, keeping the specificities of each site, of each, how can I say, machine, of each operation, right? So having the specificity almost of an MES and combining these two, the specificity of sites of both worlds, the specificity of a site that are really traditionally driven by the MES systems, by some of the ERPs, etc., but as well the enterprise scale that a data lake can provide. That is really what I would call unification, right, of data. So do we align on this concept of unifying the data for heavy industries? Is this the right concept that you have in mind?
Yes, I appreciate the insights there, and that's exactly what I wanted to kind of like wrap up with a simple question. Where someone in the audience, they have questions for you, certainly they could leverage the hashtag they see on a screen and get a hold of you. But where do they get started with this? This is a new concept, right? This industrial DataOps. How do you get started with it?
I'm not sure it's such a new concept, right? Indeed, Cognite, we started really to invest into it 5 years ago, right? And I have to say that this discipline has been now broadly adopted by the industry over the past 2 years, right? 4 months. So indeed, to that extent, it's new. But let me really try to explain again the concept of, what we mean by unifying the data, right? And then we talk about how to make it happen. The first one, really, when it comes, to unifying the data, the first point is about, the DataOps, or the concept of industrial DataOps, so focusing on the industry. It's all about providing the context and usability of the data, right? So it's all about being able to get the data from the various, data sources, being able to consolidate the data, as I mentioned earlier, in the specific context, right? And be able to do it not for across one site, but across multiple sites, so that that knowledge graph can be the unique source of data, operational data, engineering data, as well as IT data, will be that source for decisioning. That's one, right? So imagine through this, some of our customers, and I will mention an equipment manufacturer, that basically was able to get that data sources consolidated in 8 weeks, right? And having visibility of all the issues they face for one site, with all the root cause analysis, underlying root cause analysis. So all the beauty of and advantage of descriptive insights, and be able then to do it for one site in 8 weeks. Then being able to deploy it across all sites, right? And a deployment here can be done on 1 to 2 weeks in contexts that obviously evolve and are extremely, how can I say, volatile and versatile as any equipment manufacturer is today facing. So that's all about being able to pull the data and put into the right context. Now, once you put that data and you have it across all your sites, it's about being able to build a data model, a flexible data model that can be able to support, right, multiple use cases. As I mentioned, it can be about predictive maintenance. It can be about risk management. It can be about energy consumption optimization. It can be about ensuring elements of resilience, etc., right? And being able to expose that, how can I say, a flexible data model to the various applications, so that your applications that support use cases can be rolled out extremely fast across all your sites. That's really what a unifying, how can I say, data layer is about, right? And that's really the discipline that we are in today.
Got it.
So this is the what. The how obviously is, comes in few steps, right? First, it's about being able to extract the data, right? And that's obviously there are multiple technologies that come to play, and we'll be able, if you want, we can talk later on about all these data sources and really what are the pros and cons of integrating these. That's one, so extracting the data. Then second will be really about making sense of that data by consolidating the data, and then exposing the data, right, for the various applications that our end customers and end users would want to deploy, right? And that's really what the how. And here, Cognite obviously comes with an offering that is unique, that ensures a quick appropriation of how can I say, of the data extraction, but more importantly, a quick deployment of this data consolidation and exposing the data to applications, whether these are Cognite applications or applications of our customers or partners.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely love to dive deeper on the extraction of the data, and then of course also how to expose the data, making it available to the organization. So maybe a deeper dive in that, perhaps during the manufacturing day that we have upcoming with over 6,500 people. With that, I'd like to thank you for your insights. And like I said, if you're the audience, just leverage the hashtag, and then we'll get the team at Cognite to get your answers. So thank you so much, Slimane.
Thank you, Lucian. Thank you for having me.